So, for example, when I was doing a lot of writing, actual writing, not podcast writing, but actual writing for journals and for normal publishers, and later when I was doing a lot of writing for self-publishing on Kindle, but when I was really, really a writer as opposed to a kind of quasi-writer slash podcaster, I observed the following rule, which is that whenever an idea occurred to me, as long as it was a legitimate idea, even if it was a very, very, very small one, I would write it down, and I would write it down right away. And what happened is that I noticed that when big ideas occurred to me and I wrote them down, they were fine, but they turned out not to actually be as rich, not to have as many, as not to be as internally differentiated and to have as many internal profundities as the seemingly small ideas. The big ideas actually, here's the way it worked, which is that the seemingly big ideas turned out really just to be foils that led me to other ideas. Those ideas in their turn initially seemed small, but then those small ideas led to big ideas that were totally different from the original big ideas that I had. So the first set of big ideas seemed absolutely spellbinding at first, but then they turned out to be rather pedestrian. However, they led to other ideas that had a more random quality that were, I guess, a little bit less obvious, but that initially seemed very, very small. But then those little ideas, those hyper-focused ideas, which were very, very real and non-contrived, in their turn led to ideas that were big and were real and non-contrived. And I never actually, I should point this out right now, which is that I never look for ideas. When I was a writer, I never looked for ideas. As a podcaster, I never look for ideas. I never, ever, ever expend any effort looking for ideas. Under no circumstances do I do that. And the way it works, this is going to sound a little weird, but is that a sentence will go off in my head. It will go off auditorily, as in I will actually hear, I know I'm not really hearing a sentence. I don't have auditory hallucinations, but I will actually hear a sentence. There will be a little voice in my head. It's not a hallucination, okay, but there will be a little voice, and it actually clearly articulates the sentence in question. And I know that what is immediately clear is that it is coherent and that it has some value. But what is not clear is whether the idea is how much value the idea in question has. And oftentimes, if a very, very small idea occurs to me, a small and seemingly random idea occurs to me, I am tempted to dismiss it. I'm tempted to say, well, look, it's a lot of effort to make a podcast because a lot of effort is involved in tidying it up and doing the sound editing in such a way that it's at least marginally presentable. That's actually 95% of the effort. And nonetheless, I'm always tempted to say, well, look, I'm kind of low on energy. I'm just going to let this idea go. But it's precisely when I am most tempted to dismiss an idea on the grounds that it's not that important an idea, on the grounds that it's not that important an idea, and on the additional grounds that I'm tired. It is precisely under those circumstances that the really important material is generated. So this is a kind of simultaneous affirmation to up-and-coming authors and also a kind of admonishment to them.